Introducing myself, I am Lieutenant General Khumalo in the South African Police Service, currently holding the rank of a Lieutenant General, and the post title I am the Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence since the 1st of December 2022. Coupled with my current title and position, I have also been the project leader of the Political Killings Task Team since I succeeded Major General Ramatswele, who retired at the end of September 2018. But from the inception, I was the project coordinator for the Political Killings Task Team since July 2018. In finishing this statement, I'll describe the history of the Political Killings Task Team from its establishment date, and also I will show the role that organized crime cartel played in an attempt to close down the Political Killings Task Team. It is my view that the attempt to disband the Political Killings Task Team was due to the influence of a particular organized crime cartel over the Ministry of Police as well as the South African Police Service, who mistakenly thought that the Political Killings Task Team was investigating the same cartel.
Thank you. Before we proceed to paragraphs 5 and 6, you have indicated that the evidence that you provide today is what you're able to speak of in public, and that there's additional evidence you wish to submit to the Commission. Can you address that, please, with reference to paragraphs 5 and 6?
That's correct, Commissioners. Included in my affidavit is all the evidence that I'll be able to share in the public hearing. But alongside this evidence set out in this statement, there is also considerably more evidence at my disposal that cannot be shared in a public space for the following reasons. Sharing some of evidence will expose our methodologies, will expose our informants, the resources, taking also into consideration the high risk, the current threat assessment of the Gauteng organized crime, Gauteng counterintelligence investigation, as it's still ongoing. Also sharing some of the information will compromise the same ongoing investigation. After giving oral evidence on the basis of this statement, I will apply to the Commission for the remaining evidence to be heard in camera, or in respect of the second class of the evidence described above, to defer the giving of such evidence in open hearing until such time that it will be possible to do so without again compromising the current and ongoing criminal investigations. As I've said, for the safety of those involved and the protection of the investigation itself.
Can I just check, Mr. Sim, the second class of evidence, General, that you refer to, is that what you have in paragraph 5.2, where you say giving some of your evidence in public would prejudice against ongoing criminal investigation? Is that the second class you're referring to?
The second class, Commissioners, refers to if it happens that during the sitting of the Commission, there is some of evidence that can safely be shared in public, will do so.
Do I understand you to be saying, General, that if current and ongoing criminal investigations reach a point where they're concluded before the Commission has completed its investigations, that you would share that publicly?
That is correct, Commissioners.
Thank you. Can we then turn, your next topic that you address is your service history and your background. Can you please explain to the Commission with reference to paragraph 7 to 9, your background?
Thank you, Commissioners. As I've introduced myself, I've been serving as the Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence since December 2022. My whole service history is contained in the SAPS 96 record of service that is attached as Annexure SDK 1, and I confirm its correctness.
Are you done, or you want to continue with that?
I'm continuing. I joined the South African Police Service in July 1991, as confirmed and reflected in the attached service records, as a constable, and I grew up each and every rank to the current rank of a Lieutenant General. I've served the police for the period of 34 years. Testimony to that are the 10 years, 20 years, and 30 years loyal service medals that has been bestowed to me. I've served and excelled in all policing environments or programs at both operational and managerial levels. That is from crime prevention to crime investigation and to crime intelligence. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. And the long service medals, are those reflected in your SAPS 96?
That is correct, Commissioners.
All right. So in your next section, you speak about something called the 5-pillar approach. So as I understand it, this is your approach to crime prevention and combating. Can you please explain that to the Commission?
Thank you, Commissioners. It happened as I grew up the ranks that between 2011 and 2018, I was at the level of a brigadier, and I was appointed the head of national operations, responsible for the planning, the execution of the plan, the monitoring of the operation, as well as the assessment thereof. It happened then that during my course of duty, I identified one of the shortcomings that was affecting our threat-specific or periodical operations, and at some level also affecting the normal operations of the police, which was lack of coordinated efforts. SAPS had become more over-specialized in terms of the environment that you are operating on, which was making it difficult then to approach the operations then in a unified and coordinated manner.
What do you mean by specialized, General?
By over-specialization, Commissioner, I'm meaning that if you are within the crime prevention environment, you'll regard it as your specialization that has got nothing to do with the investigation environment of crime. Hence, then it was affecting the coordinated efforts in terms of dealing with a particular crime or threat in an operation format. The initiative then that is normally called and referred to now as five-pillar approach was meant to address that shortcoming. As I've mentioned that during my assessment of all the operations that I was coordinating nationally, this shortcoming came up and it was rendering our operations to be ineffective. Since then, we had to initiate this five-pillar approach, which was firstly presented to the South African Police Board of Commissioners in 2016, where it was formally approved. I subsequently then oversaw the implementation of this approach in all national interventions or police operations. Since the introduction of this approach, the five-pillar approach then has been adopted as the standard operational methodology of the whole of the South African Police Service.
Before Advocate Hassim asked you to tell us what this five-pillar approach is exactly, I too had a question for you on this. You deal with it in paragraph 10, or I should not even say you deal with it, you mention the five-pillar approach, and you again mention it, let me see where, in paragraph 14 as well, you mention it. But nowhere, unless I've misread your statement, nowhere do you tell us or give us the five pillars. What are the five pillars themselves? I'm asking because of the later mention in paragraph 14, it seems that it is of relevance. If you had just mentioned it in passing in paragraph 10, I would not have bothered, but paragraph 14 suggests that it is relevant. So that's why I want to know what these five pillars are. So,
General, the Chair is asking the relevance of the five-pillar approach plan and what the content is. And as pointed out, you deal with it later to say that that is the approach that informed the work of the Political Killings Task Team. So it's quite important that you set out what the five pillars are.
The first pillar is, the second pillar is, right up to pillar 5.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners. The first pillar talks to the intelligence gathering, coordination, and analysis. The second pillar talks to the proactive approach in dealing with crime or a particular threat. The third pillar talks to the more combat approach in dealing with the particular threat. And pillar number 4 talks to the reactive through detection. In other words, focused investigation of reported cases. Pillar number 5 talks to communication and liaison aspects of the whole approach. But as the Chair has indicated, I will dwell much on those pillars when I get to paragraph 14 and linking this five-pillar approach to other operations where it has been used with more specific reference than to the Political Killings Task Team.
Thank you, General. You also give an example. Is the example that you provide in paragraph 12 an example of the implementation of this approach?
Thank you, Commissioners. Yes, indeed, in paragraph 12, we are noting one example of a successful application or implementation of this approach in one of our national intervention operations that we ran in 3 provinces, which was Mpumalanga, Limpopo, and KwaZulu-Natal, that was focusing on rhino poaching or wildlife trafficking. I was the leader, the project leader, as well as the commander of this operation, which ran from or under the nickname Ops Rhino, which ran then for close to 7 years in those 3 provinces, where we implemented this 5-pillar approach in its totality. The operation itself happened then to coincide with a need for us to develop the strategy that was going to be implemented in the country in dealing with wildlife trafficking. I was part of the leadership that developed the strategy that is now referred to as National Integrated Strategy to Combat Wildlife Trafficking in South Africa, which is, of course, internationally recognized as we speak, and it was the first of its kind in the country and was approved by the Cabinet during May 2023. The primary objective of the strategy was to guide the law enforcement agencies in South Africa and to equip them with necessary resources to reduce and prevent the escalating problem of wildlife trafficking. It was recommended by the Cabinet as a more practical tool for the investigation and prosecuting of wildlife trafficking syndicates internationally.
Thank you.
General, where you say it was recommended by Cabinet, you mean commended by Cabinet?
I'm sorry,
That's
Commissioners, it was commended, yes.
And so, General, as I understand, because you're still busy dealing with your background, are you going to return to the issue of this approach to investigations when you talk about the work of the PKTT?
That is correct, Commissioners. I thought of explaining this approach at the beginning of my affidavit because it will assist us as we go through the methodology that is currently utilized in the political killings task team.
Thanks. All right, so can you, in paragraphs 13 to 16, you speak about crime investigation and your role since your background since 2018. Can you briefly take the Commission through that?
Yes, Commissioners. Since July 2018, I was assigned initially as the project coordinator, which subsequently led to my appointment as the project leader from September 2018. The national task team that is still responsible for the investigation of politically related incidents in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. This was as a result of the directive by the President in establishing the Inter-Ministerial Committee, which was appointed to ensure that those that are responsible for the killings in the province of KwaZulu-Natal are held accountable. During my initial days in the project, it became clear from also the assessments by the Interministerial Committee, as well as ourselves as the new command, that the investigations in these cases were not yielding any successful results for a variety of challenges that I will also indicate as I move on with the briefing on the establishment of the political killing task team, as well as methodologies employed. It was during the initial stages that I have to develop the strategy that was going to be used. The strategy of which now we refer to it as tried and tested. It is the analysis-led investigation using organized crime approach.
General Mkhwanazi and General Masemula told us about the prosecution-led investigation process. You have now added analysis and prosecutorial driven, you call it. Can you explain to us this new aspect of analysis-led, which the other generals did not mention?
Thank you, Chairperson, Commissioners. The analysis-led is the initial approach or the initial plan that we developed at the beginning of the project. The integrated approach came few months down the line. Hence, then I thought that I start from the beginning just to show the investigative approach before we expand it to include then other stakeholders. The analysis-led approach was basically meant to bring different expertise from within SAPS to work in a coordinated fashion. Our approach was, let us get our house in order first before we invite other stakeholders, so as then the integrated approach will be more effective once then we have sorted our own issues within SAPS.
Do I understand you then to mean that the analysis-led was not something applied on a case-by-case basis? It's something that you engaged in at the initial stage, because I do know that the prosecution-led process was on a case-by-case basis. Each case involved prosecutors engaging with the investigators, making suggestions to them on what to investigate, hence prosecution-led investigations. So obviously, that's on a case-by-case basis. Now, I understand your answer with regard to analysis-led to mean that you did the analysis as different role players within SAPS, and I understand this to have taken place at the initial stage. Do I understand you correctly, or was it also applicable on a case-by-case basis?
Thank you, Chairperson. Commissioners, partly it means that, but correctly so. It means the analysis-led approach is also utilized on a case-to-case basis. To explain it further, is we moved away from the investigators-led investigation we moved towards analysis-led. Hence, even now, our team is made up mainly of different analysts that are leading the investigating team towards the direction that is directed by the information at hand, starting from the initial statement from the docket, which will need a thorough analysis from the operational analysis point of view. But then we'll line up then all the analysis capabilities that are available in the South African Police Service that we know they are there. Your forensic analyst, your ballistic analyst, your call data analyst, your communication analyst, all these different types, your financial statement analyst, we brought them together so as the plan for the investigation of each and every case moves, each and every analyst will be able to deposit their input for the operational analyst then to look at the holistic picture and be able to direct the investigation of each and every case towards the right direction.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, General. Am I right that you will be dealing with this in more detail with reference to SDK4, which is the Integrated Strategic Plan for Investigation and Prosecution of Politically Related Cases?
That is
specifically
correct,
for the PKTT. So you will come back to the question that the Chair asked later on in your evidence with reference to your plan. Is that right?
That's correct, Commissioners.
Thank you. So we're still in the background. Can you explain your background in crime intelligence? So that would be paragraph 17 onwards. I think that's where you were. If there's something you wish to say before you get there, you're free to do so.
I can proceed to paragraph 17, Commissioners.
Sorry, you skipped 15. May or may not be relevant.
I thought so. Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. So before we get there, can you deal with paragraphs 15 and 16?
Thank you, Commissioners. Paragraph 15 and 16 are the extension of the explanation as to how we assess the analysis-led investigation that was implemented in the political killings task team.
Perhaps, I'm sorry, Advocate Hassim. I'm very sorry, General. You were at 14 and I'm the one who moved you away from that after asking you about the analysis-led. There's something that I consider quite important, which is your last sentence of paragraph 14, the one starting the adoption of this multidisciplinary. Perhaps you might want to read that into the record.
So that's the last sentence of paragraph 14.
Thank you, Commissioners. The adoption of this multidisciplinary national task team underpinned by the five-pillar approach that is coming from the experience of how both proactive and reactive activities or operations in the SAPS were not so effective. The five-pillar approach became also the basis of the approach in the analysis-led approach of the political killings task team and proved highly effective, and as it is now regarded as the benchmark for tackling contract killings of any kind.
That's fine, thanks.
On paragraph 15, we are citing one other example of how effective is this analysis-led investigation coupled with the five-pillar approach can be utilized in any other organized crime approach investigation. We're citing an example where the same political killings task team was assigned to the Eastern Cape in the University of Fort Hare to investigate a series of murder and attempted murder cases that are totally not related to the political environment or killings. There were incidents where the university officials and staff were targeted. It is during those investigations utilizing the same analysis-led in the Eastern Cape where then this approach proved to be effective and proved that it can be utilized in any investigation of contract killings, not only to the political killings. I will dwell much on the investigation or the extension of the mandate of the political killings task team to the Eastern Cape, more specifically, University of Fort Hare later on, Chair.
Can I ask you, General Khumalo, when was there already an investigation ongoing in the Eastern Cape with regard to the University of Fort Hare, or were you, as the PKTT, brought in to begin investigating?
Thank you, Chair. It's one of the yardsticks that we use to assess the effectiveness of the approach, because as was the case in the PKTT KZN, the cases that were assigned to the team were the cases that have been investigated before, either by the general detectives at station level or organized crime units then at provincial level. So same in the Eastern Cape, the cases that were referred to the team were the cases that have been investigated before at station and provincial level.
And why do you emphasize that? Why do you emphasize that these would be cases that had been investigated in the conventional way or by some specialized units, but were then taken over or given to the PKTT? What's the significance of that? The historical aspect of them having been investigated by some other SAPS entity before.
Thank you, Commissioner. I emphasize that because I am still in the explanation on the effectiveness of this analysis-led investigation to prove that investigations on the same case that were done utilizing the traditional way of investigation seemed to be not effective. Hence, then, as we implemented it in KZN and it became successful, and we were roped in the Eastern Cape, it also became successful. Hence, then, we concluded that it is the effective approach on the investigation, more especially of organized contract killings.
I thought that's where you wanted to go, but you kept silent at some point, and that's when I decided to ask you the question.
You anticipated my question, Chair.
My apologies, Advocate.
Are you satisfied with the answer?
I was too quick to the draw, I guess. No, I'm satisfied, thank you.
Thank you. General, can you explain for the Commission your background in crime intelligence? And so now we will be dealing with paragraph 17 to 19 of your statement.
Thank you, Commissioners. As I've indicated before, that I was appointed as the Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence in December 2022. This is the environment that I've spent more than a decade of my earlier career period. It is normally referred to as non-commissioned period from the rank of a sergeant up until then the rank of a junior officer, a captain. I was within the crime intelligence environment. And also between the year 2011 and 2012, I was appointed, I was by that time then at the level of a brigadier within the Division Operational Response Services. But between the year 2011 and 2012, I was appointed as the acting head of counter and security intelligence in the Division Crime Intelligence.
Sorry, Advocate Asim, can I just get clarity on this? General, as Divisional Commander of Crime Intelligence and Project Lead of PKTT, where were you based? Were you in KZN or in Pretoria? Because you said in your intro that the crime syndicates had mistakenly assumed that the PKTT was investigating them in Gauteng, specifically in Johannesburg. So I just want to get clarity. Where were you based throughout this period, let's say from 2022 to 2024?
Thank you, Commissioners. Between the period 2022 to date, or to 2024, I was based in Pretoria as the Divisional Commissioner Crime Intelligence full-time. And I was also still the project coordinator of the Political Killings Task Team.
No longer coordinator, General. You were coordinator until September of 2018 when General, who is it, Ramatswele?
Ramatswele.
Retired. You were coordinator before that and you became the leader. You referred to yourself as coordinator in 2022 to 2024.
Yes, Chair, maybe then it was my mistake that I did not emphasize the fact that when I was made the project leader, I was not stripped of the title of being the project coordinator, which then happened to combine being both the coordinator and the leader.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not significant, but it's just that you differentiated between coordinator and leader. When the PKTT was established, you were the coordinator, and you said you then became the leader when General Ramatswele retired in September of 2018. So my understanding then was that there were two positions, one of coordinator and one of leader. So that's, as I say, it's not significant, and I just corrected you, or attempted to, I may have been wrong, when you still referred to yourself as the coordinator, when you said since September 2018 you have now been the leader and no longer just a coordinator. As I say, let's not get bogged down by that. It's not significant.
Perhaps I could ask one follow-up question on that, Chair. When you became project leader, when you assumed that role after Major General Ramatswele retired, was anyone appointed as the role of project coordinator?
Thank you, Chair. Maybe then let me link the current period 2022 to 2024 with the SIS, so as then we all understand. In 2018, I was holding a rank of a brigadier. It was my co-function to coordinate all national operations. I was the national operations coordinator. Hence, then I had to resume that role, that initial role in the political killings task team from July 2018. And then when General Ramatswele retired, I was then appointed to be the project leader, which coincided with my promotion to a major general's level, the level where General Ramatswele was when he was a leader. And my post then was above the National Operations Coordinator at national level. I was the head of national operations. And then there was then a head of both national operations planning and national operations monitoring. So I was then appointed to the level above the coordinator of national operations. Hence, then the coordination part of the operation that I was doing at a brigadier's level, I was still doing it now as the leader of the operation at a major general's level.
So there wasn't another person who was appointed as the answer. Thank you. I think you were dealing with paragraph 17 when the question arose. Can you continue from there?
Yes. Thank you, Commissioners. On paragraph 18.
Sorry, General. On paragraph 17, before you leave it, you say that when you, prior to your appointment as the Divisional Commissioner Crime Intelligence, the division was beset by numerous challenges. What challenges were you faced with? You then go on to say that you introduced a management style to deal with this, but perhaps you could just explain what the challenges were when you took that office.
Thank you, Commissioners. Maybe then, if I may reverse a little bit, coming to the question, starting or linking it up with my acting period between 2011 and 2012 as the acting component head within Crime Intelligence Division. So as maybe it's clear, Commissioners, I'll attach names during that period. It is the period when the current Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal was the acting National Commissioner. And the current National Commissioner was the acting Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence. And the current Divisional Commissioner of Crime Intelligence was the acting component head within Division Crime Intelligence. That is between 2011 and 2012. The reason why I reverse a little bit before I come to my second homecoming from 2022, it's because I want to highlight the issues that will then help us understand the paragraph 18 on my affidavit. During that spell between 2011 and 2012, it was during the time when the division was in the public space for more negative reasons than positive. One might say similar to what we experienced since the beginning of this year. The critical issues, without explaining them more, because they are reflected on the state capture report that are talking specifically to the division, crime intelligence. So during 2011 and 2012, there were attempts by the acting management that have cited to put a stop to most of the issues that were negatively affecting the environment. To sum them up, there was a misuse of resources as well as methodologies of the environment. And then during those acting years, attempts were made to correct all those mistakes. If I may refer to the testimony by the then acting National Commissioner who came before this commission as the Provincial Commissioner KwaZulu-Natal and expanded more on the happenings and experiences in relation to crime intelligence during those acting periods. So the division was attempting to move away from those situations, but then unfortunately it did not happen because all the acting heads that I've cited then happened then to be moved away prior to the finalization of that project of trying to turn the environment around.
If your reference to those that were acting includes General Mkhwanazi, I understood him to say that he decided to leave and left. And you have said those that were acting were moved. So that would not quite accord with what he said, which is that he decided to leave the position of acting National Commissioner. Unless I misunderstood him or I've forgotten his testimony in this regard.
Yes, commissioners, in his testimony, it is exactly like the commissioner is reflecting, decided to move, but not out of free will. So it was the case with also the two of us, the same situation.
Thank you, General. I interrupted you, I'm sorry.
Yes. I was tempted to reflect on the 2011-2012, so as then when I approach 2022, now when I'm appointed the divisional commissioner, firstly to say, maybe let me quote the words of the current national commissioner during my appointment, where he said...
Where are you quoting from, General? You're quoting from the National Commissioner's statement, or...?
No, not the statement.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not in the statement. I'm quoting the words during my appointment as I'm approaching then the December 22, when I was appointed. Why I'm quoting his words is because I want to tie it up with 2011-2012, when he said, go back there, but you must know that everything that you had implemented by then was reversed within 2 months of your departure. So as you go back there, you will start from scratch. Now I'm going to paragraph 18 to reflect as to the status of the division and the program that was put in place then since December 2022.
General, you, in that paragraph 17, and remember that not everybody has got your statement, and you're missing stuff that we think is critical. In that paragraph 17, you do explain how you end up as Divisional Commissioner Crime Intelligence, and then you have spoken to the problems that beset, but then you leave out the last sentence, which starts upon assuming. So you don't explain what happens after you came into a division that was beset with problems. I think you should complete the paragraph.
Thank you, Commissioner. To complete my paragraph 17, I am submitting that in the division, I introduced a management style that has since proven effective, resulting in enhanced stability, more especially at management level, and also in the improved status of compliance with various policies, as well as the cessation of resources and crime intelligence methodologies abuse.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloy. You can continue with paragraph 18.
Continuing then to paragraph 18, under my leadership of the division, currently the operational performance has improved significantly. In particular, when one refers to the national security threats that are identified at SAPS level or AOP, talking to organized crime priorities. We have also managed to foster stronger relations with other operational environments. Also, the reports from most of oversight bodies, from the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence at Parliament level, the Auditor General of South Africa, as well as the Office of the Inspector General of Intelligence, the reports for the past 2 years, they bear testimony to the improvement.